recovery. So in the first part, I talked about how in addiction recovery, a lot of times my level of humility, my viewing of my place in the world needs to be reset. And this is a normal consequence of frequent substance use, the distortion in my thinking with prolonged substance use. So don't take it personally. It's just a reality of being in recovery that probably there's going to need to be leveling of my ego, so to speak, and well, really more of a resetting, because my ego might be, I may be think too lowly of myself, and I might think too highly of myself, too important of myself. So I need to come back to somewhere in the middle. I also talked about how meditation, prayer, and breathing exercises are a great way to restore balance and ground yourself and calm yourself down. I highly recommend all three of those. Try all three, see what works for you, do a combination, pick one, whatever you want to do. And then I talked about how in recovery, we really need to humble ourselves, or else we're probably going to get humbled. Meaning, if I don't practice humility, then I'm probably going to relapse, and I'm going to suffer the same consequences that I did before: jail, maybe car wrecks, poor health, these kinds of things. And that hopefully will humble me again. But I don't want to that. I don't want to have that happen in order for me to get back on the right track, so to speak. So the next thing I would say is to practice humility in recovery is constantly be putting yourself in other people's shoes. So again, one of the things that happens in addiction with prolonged substance use is that we get wrapped up around ourselves. We could overconsumed with our own problems, can only see things from our perspective, and we really a lot of times have trouble seeing things from other people's perspective. And I'll tell you guys, my experience, even when I was in addiction, when I would try and put myself in other people's shoes, when I would try and see things from other people's perspectives, a lot of times it was not objective. It was very biased. This is just a common thing with addiction. I've seen it in hundreds of patients that I've worked with, where they will think that they are practicing humility and putting themselves in other people's shoes, but their reality is so distorted that it's not accurate. It's almost like the brain playing tricks on them. I've seen it over and over and over. So this really putting myself in other people's shoes. If someone's criticizing me, then I need to really take a look at it. Is there merit to what they're saying? What do I need to work on about myself? Again, a lot of this recovery comes back to the working on myself, focusing on myself, what is within my control, practicing acceptance. Now, I don't have to be a doormat either. I really like this saying, do no harm, take no shit. I really like that. I think there's a lot of truth to that. So I don't have to be a doormat. I don't have to put up with other people treating me badly, but I really need to look at my own behavior and just be constantly evaluating, like, am I practicing humility right now? Is there something I need to work on? Is there something I need to look at? The other thing I would say is, in recovery, I need to practice responding instead of reacting. So again, my brain has been conditioned to expect immediate results, and it's just conditioned for this. Just it's not rational thinking, right? The emotional part of my brain has really taken over the logic part of my brain, so I'm making decisions based on emotions more. I'm thinking more just based on feeling instead of just doing this balance of emotions and logic. So I'm much more likely to react. My brain has been really conditioned to react in the moment instead of slowing down and responding. So this is something that probably will take a lot of practice. I need to really work on just taking information, processing it, and allowing my brain to take in the facts and decide what I want to do with the information. So trying to override my brain, that emotional part of my brain that it's now taken over a lot of that logic. I need to store that balance. So I'm using logic and emotion to make my decisions. And then another thing I would say is, don't be afraid to apologize if you react too emotionally in the moment. If you fly off the handle, if you a lot of times this is trauma responses. You're not even mentioning the substance abuse. A lot of people that struggle with substance abuse have trauma backgrounds, right? So it may be the substance abuse, it may also be just trauma responses. So having humility is not being afraid to apologize if you're in the wrong. So if you could go back and evaluate and be like, and I shouldn't have said that, or I reacted too quickly. It takes a big person to go to someone and say, hey, I'm not proud of the way that I reacted in that moment. I just want to apologize. And again, you're looking at your own behavior. So you don't even have to look at what they did, just look at what you're working on yourself. So how did you react in a way that aligns with the person that you're trying to be, the person that has the values that you have? And then the last thing, this is really hard, guys. Don't be afraid to tell someone that you lied. And what I mean by that is in addiction, I've said this before, we create this web of deception that allows our addiction to thrive. Hiding, lying about what we're doing. It for most people, lying becomes a natural part of life in addiction because we perceive it as just being easier. So in recovery, I need to work on that. I need to work on my honesty. I need to get away from that routine that I've created of it just being so easy to lie. So a really good way to do this, and again, I tell people all the time, it takes a big person to do this, but if you can, it's a great tool to rewire your brain. Don't be afraid to, I don't know, I'm sorry, I just lied about that. I don't know why I did that, or I did that because I was feeling this way, or I thought it was going to be easier, but that was actually a lie. So, like, calling yourself out, this is a phenomenal way to start practicing honesty. It really is hard, but it's very effective. So guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully this was helpful. If anyone has suggestions for videos that they'd like to see, please drop that down below. I really hope this is helpful in your recovery, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. All right, thank you very much.